Welcome to episode 3 of the Guest Safety Officer Lobby Group Shorts. On this programme, I've entitled it Exploring the Skies and Becoming a Drone Pilot in the UK. With me today, I've got Tim Rundle-Spires. He's an expert in droning, and we should be talking about and discussing the basics of security officers if they're looking to become a drone pilot, what they need to do to start. This is a two-part episode, and as I say, this is the first one with the basics of getting started. Good evening, Tim. How are you?
Hi, very well. Nice to see you again, Gary.
And you, Tim. Can you just give the audience out there a quick brief about yourself?
I run a small creative agency called Slipstream Creative Agency. I've got a YouTube channel that's all tech reviews. I do a lot on camera kit for creators and a lot on drones as well.
Yeah, I mean, your drone content's brilliant. If I said to you before, that's fantastic. And that's one of the reasons why you're here, because your expertise in that field of becoming a drone pilot. So just to kick off with the questions here, Tim, for those who are interested in starting, how do they get into this field and what do they need?
Well, I would say the best way to start is just to get a sub 250 gram drone. Simply because you don't need any licenses or IDs for those. You can literally just get your operator's ID. So that's just signing up with CAA, paying them £9, and that's just you registered. And then you can go and fly them. And the nice thing about those smaller drones is you can fly them closer to people, over people, as long as they're not a gathered crowd. So the laws are a lot more relaxed. Obviously, you've got height restrictions and restrictions with airports and everything, but it's a good way to get started.
Okay, that's cool. So is there any specific age or educational prerequisites you require to become a drone pilot or do the course?
Well, to fly these sort of drones, you've got to be 18 to have your operator's ID. But let's say one of my children want to fly it, they can, but I would be like the owner, as it were. But they can be younger and still fly them. If we're looking more at commercial licenses, you would then need to be looking at getting a GVC qualification, and you would need to be 18.
What's a GVC qualification there, Tim?
So the GVC is your commercial license. So with the GVC, you're then certified to be able to get operational authorization from the CAA. So that means that I can fly, say, in restricted areas, like in an airport or in the centre of London, or where it is more crowded, because I'm working on a film set or I'm filming a construction site or thermal imaging or anything like that. So you're then certified to get these dispensations to be able to do that.
So let's say we're looking at these people on the ground, guys or girls. How are they going to be staying informed and compliant with this? I mean, how are they going to keep themselves updated with the latest regulations and the latest airspace restrictions?
Well, there's a couple of different ways. There's a few websites that we use. So to know where's safe to fly and not safe to fly in general day-to-day use, we use an app called Drone Assist, and that will tell you where any airports are or local flying sites. So we'll use that before we go out and fly. You can also use NATS, which is the National Air Traffic Service, and they can tell you on their website if there's any activity in your area that you'd need to know about. And then there's a website called Skywise. We'll sign up to that and you can tick the boxes relevant to you, i.e. I'm a drone pilot, I need information on that and the laws and any flights that might affect that. And they'll actually email notifications if there's any flights going on in your area that might affect your drone activity, or if there's any actual changes or updates in the law. But we also check on the CAA website and the civil aviation that sort of control all flight space. They're the regulators. And we get updates from them, what's happening with any regulations and laws as they change.
That's great, Tim. That's quite it's quite in depth there. It's a lot of information to take in. Just going back to the training and sort of what sort of training programs are recommended for this? I mean, say if I want to become a drone pilot, I mean,
Yeah.
where do I start on this?
Well, there's a little path. So the first thing you would need to do would be to get a flyer ID, and you could do that at any time. I mean, when I got my first drone, that was free to do, so I thought I'll do it. And you just sort of study a bit of a PDF, and it'll just tell you about any regulations about airports, the height you can fly, how near to people you can fly, the kind of thing that everyone should really know if they're flying a drone anyway, a drone that's not a toy, let's say. And so there's the flyer ID, and then you would get your A2 CFC, as it's called, a certificate of competency. And that allows you then to fly drones up to 2 kilograms. So you've gone from your 250 to your 2 kilogram size drones. And then your next level would be to get your GVC. So to do your GVC, you have to have had these other two, pass those other two sort of tests. One's a test, one's more of an exam. And so the A2 CFC would be the first thing you study. It's quite inexpensive. It's around, say, £70 plus VAT. There's lots of companies that offer it. It's online training, and then there's a practical part, but you just send in your flight logs. You don't actually have to go anywhere and do that. And there's an online exam that you do with an invigilator. So you do that, and then you can go on to do your GVC, which is that same study, but more in depth. And then there's further studies as well. And you would cover more in depth things like health and safety, risk assessment, operational manuals. So it's really going into the things as if you were running more of an organization, or you were, going into fly in more complex areas and situations.
So did you say GVC? Did you say that was
the GVC, which is the General Visual Line of Sight Certificate?
Right. Okay. And that's when people have now they've gone through all this basic stuff. They've been practicing the bits and pieces. Now they're looking to go up to the next level. I don't want to go too far into that then, because I know in our next program we'll be going more into deep into drones and security and what that's all about. But what was getting the people out there who are very keen to go down this path on this side. I mean, what's the cost would you advise them to start off with, and how much they're going to actually spend just to get to this level before they're stepping up to the big level, the big league, as I say?
Well, you're, as I say, A2 CFC, what they do is they kind of often will give you the training free, and then you pay for the exam. I used Copters, which is COPTRZ, one of the main training companies in the UK, and that was £67 plus VAT. So that's the first part. The GVC, and different training companies charge different amounts. They were about just under £700 plus VAT to do that. And so you can actually go and do that with them. So you could do more of a classroom, and then you would do some practical flight training with them. And you could do that all within 3 days. In theory, you could do it all in 3 days, or you can do self-study. So you could just practice, train at your own time online, and then you would go to them and do a couple of hours practical, and then you could take your exam. So the time that actually is required isn't that long, and the qualification isn't, well, I don't think it's that expensive, because that makes you a fully qualified commercial pilot. So that means you can fly big 25 kilogram drones, like big, heavy, massive things that you're bolting on cameras and different payloads. They can do thermal imaging, 3D sensors.
I'm going to stop you there, Tim, because I know that's going to go into our part two. Yeah, I know you like to get this up. So
I'm getting excited now. Drones.
I saw that, but let's keep it simple for the guys and girls out on the ground, or the people on the ground, because we want them to have an understanding of what they need to do. It's not just going down the road, picking up a drone and thinking, oh, I'm a security drone pilot, I can do that. So that just sort of draws it to a conclusion on this point. I mean, because your insights have been really valuable. People, just to conclude that, there's training sites you go to, it's costing you, what we're saying, about 150 quid in total to get it together, or less.
Well, it's kind of like £9 to get yourself flying a 250-gram drone.
Right.
And you could use those commercially. The quality of them is amazing. So if you were filming property and things, for example, they would be absolutely, the top end ones of those would be absolutely fine for doing that. Your next level to fly is like bigger drones, the 2-kilogram ones up to that. That license is about £70 plus VAT. And then to fly bigger commercial drones, the 25-kilogram up to 25-kilogram drones, you're then talking around, in total around £1,000, say, including the VAT and everything.
So the total figure is about £1,000. Start off is nice and light, but then if we will start stepping into the big league, we're looking at £1,000. And then obviously, if they're going to buy their own drone, whichever the costs of those. Let's bring it to an end here, Tim, because I say I want to keep the best part for episode 2 when we start really delving into the deep of it. If people want to contact you or ask advice on this, how can they get hold of you?
Well, you can go to my YouTube channel, which is, if you just put in Tim Rundle-Spires, I'll come up, and you can message me directly there. You could always put a link in the description below of this video of a direct link to contact me that way as well.
Great stuff. I'll make sure those links are actually put on the bottom of this, Tim. Thank you very much for our show. It's really appreciated. I'm looking forward to part 2, which will be in the new year, where we can go into the more detailed stuff and you can sort of give us the insights of bits and pieces. For those who watch the channel, thank you very much. If you do like the channel, please like and subscribe. Press the button somewhere down there. Tim, once again, thank you very much for your time today. And I'll be looking forward to seeing you in the new year for part 2.
Brilliant. Look forward to seeing you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tim.